Hey, how's it going, guys? Let's check out some more Reddit. Am I the asshole? Let's go! Am I the asshole for asking a customer to use headphones? I'm a receptionist, so I'm okay with a certain amount of chatter in a waiting room. However, if you're on your phone, I request that people use headphones because I'm not just sitting at my desk, I'm actually working and don't need to listen to conversations on speaker or videos of babies crying or the latest in political commentary. Today I asked a customer, emotional support / transport for the person who actually had an appointment, twice to please use headphones if they were watching videos. The first time they ignored me, the second time I came out from my desk and asked them directly. Now they're wailing on the phone about how humiliated they feel. What's irony, lol. So am I the asshole? I feel like this in general should just be common decency. It doesn't really matter where you are, really. As long as you're in a public place, then I feel like you should, at least have your phone semi-silent or don't be blasting videos or whatnot. Especially like in the past when I used to go to the gym like all the time. Like the gym's already playing their shitty music over the loudspeakers. I don't also need to listen to whatever this guy over here is blaring on his phone. So no, I wouldn't say you're an asshole at all for this. You think you're an asshole here? Really? I don't. I'm worried HR may disagree. Well, judging by the comments on this post, no one's disagreeing with you. Would I be the asshole for not letting my friend bring a strange guy to stay in my condo? I've been planning a trip to see my family for a while. A friend / acquaintance asked if she and another friend could stay in my condo with me. They were going around the same time, it was just a few days, and I said sure, assuming it would be another female because my friend is married, and no biggie, girls' weekend, and I could show them around town. Well, as a follow-up text with flight information, I found out this friend is a guy, not her husband. I asked her if he needs recommendations on a place to stay. I wasn't aware that it was a guy, and she says no, life update, lol. She's separated from her husband and with him. Way to bury the lead. I'm kind of shocked and feel so dumb for assuming. First, I don't even know him except his first name and she won't give me his last. I do not know the circumstances of her separation and I do not want to be the conduit of anything immoral. And I'm trying desperately not to assume things and obviously failing. Would I be the asshole if I back out and refuse? How do I even phrase that? Congrats on your separation, but due to the fact that this is a strange man going to my place and I can't do a background check on him, no, you can't stay with me. Sarcasm, sorry. I just feel blindsided and I want to handle this in a non-asshole way, but I'm not sure how. Well, yeah, she for sure blindsided you because, there's a reason why she didn't tell you that it was a guy because, she knew you'd react this way. And for good reason too. This is a complete stranger who you're gonna possibly let into your house. I think anybody in this situation would be uncomfortable. And benefit of the doubt, maybe he's a cool guy, maybe he's a great guy, but I don't know him. I'm not gonna let him into my house. So yeah, if I was you, I would just be straight up, be like, hey, good for you. You found a relationship with this guy, but I don't know him, so I don't trust him in my house. So I would just say that. Nope, easy, not the asshole. Your friend deliberately didn't tell you that she was bringing a guy you never met until you'd said yes. Tell her, sorry, you don't allow men you don't know into your apartment and she is going to need to make other arrangements. Exactly, dude, she knew exactly what she was doing. Would I be the asshole if I confront my son about dating someone who is developmentally challenged? I, female 38, am wondering if I should confront my son, male 19, about dating a girl, female 22, who has developmental syndromes. She doesn't have Down syndrome, but when my husband and I first met her, it was very apparent when she spoke. Later, we asked my son if she was challenged, and he said yes. He doesn't know more about her condition other than that. He said that she has dated other guys in the past. She is very high functioning, but I believe she is on disability. I am just not sure how I feel about it. My kid is respectful of women and I don't believe he feels like he is taking advantage of her, but is he? She is a nice person and if this kind of thing is normal then I would like to educate myself more about it, but I currently feel uncomfortable about it. Would I be the asshole if I shared those thoughts with him? I honestly just don't know. I'm sorry if I'm not using the correct language here, so please forgive me if I say anything inappropriate. I've never been in this situation and I'm open to being educated about it. Edits, I was concerned about her capacity to give enthusiastic consent. That is better worded than my original statement. And confront isn't the right word either. If I ask them both questions about it, is that rude? Well, Yeah, I mean, I guess it's understandable. Like you said, you just don't know about the situation, so you're asking for help, on the internet about strangers and stuff, and you just want more insight on it because you feel the fact that she is on the spectrum or has some kind of mental disability, you feel like your son may be taking advantage of her. But just because she's on the spectrum or has some kind of developmental syndrome or something like that, that doesn't mean that she can't date people or, find love or, have meaningful relationships. In my own opinion, if they're happy together and they, bring out the best in each other, then I don't really see anything wrong here. I mean, you did say she is high functioning and whatever disability she has, so so it's not like very apparent and she needs less care to, do things day to day. So for the most part, she can live a relatively normal life. And as long as your son knows that and is able to like help her if anything, were to happen or anything, if he takes the proper steps and actually learns about her disability, if they want to pursue a relationship, then I say go for it. Info, do you have any significant information that you are certain, beyond all reasonable doubt, that she is mentally incapable of giving informed consent to a relationship, etc.? If not, you would be the asshole if you confront him as though he is doing something wrong. He should be proactively making sure that she can consent, but it is problematic to assume she cannot. What is her actual disability though? If it's just her speech, that's nothing. My son told me that she is when I initially asked. She can't be left by herself either, so if that was my red flag. I am a person who cannot be left alone because of my disabilities. My disabilities do affect my speech and GAT, and a lot of strangers assume I don't have much going on or that I am mentally stunted. I am married with an extremely high IQ. I think not the asshole. But please get to know the woman before forming opinions. Please do not push for information about her disability beyond asking her if there are any ways you can accommodate her. Alright, well, after reading some comments, I do agree with some people that some more info is needed. We don't exactly know how severe her mental disability is, but if it's not that bad and she can, consent to certain situations and stuff, then I don't see an issue with them continuing to date. Maybe instead of confronting your son about why he shouldn't be doing this, maybe you should actually talk to the girl and get to know her more, and then you'll have a better mindset of the situation and you can just go from there. Am I the asshole for not wanting to invite my mom to my wedding? Hi Reddit, I really need some outside opinions. Yeah, that's what I'm here for. I'm getting married next August and I'm struggling whether I should invite my mom to my wedding. I have a lot of childhood trauma involving my mom. She has significant mental health issues, and while I don't blame her for having them, I can't be around her for more than a couple of hours without becoming extremely anxious. She only seems to think about herself, and every time we are together, we end up arguing. She has an on and off relationship with an alcoholic, and every few weeks they are breaking up and getting back together. She only calls me a few times a year, and it's almost always because she needs money or wants to vent about how terrible her relationship is. She never calls to ask how I'm doing or what's going on in my life. Being around her puts me into a full fight or flight mode. My body literally starts shaking because she stresses me out so much. If this were just a small wedding with my side of the family, I might just be able to tolerate it, but this is also my fiance's wedding, and his family has never met my parents despite us being together for over 8 years. The final straw happened recently. My mom's boyfriend called me while he was drunk and said that he and my mom were going to get super smashed and start fighting in the middle of my wedding just to ruin my day. What the fuck? Well, thanks for the heads up, man. I honestly don't know if he was joking, but after everything I've been through, I can't ignore a comment like that. The difficult part is that my grandmother raised me, not my mom. My grandmother desperately wants me to invite her, and we've been arguing about it. She says that she's still my mother, but the irony is that my grandmother can't even be in the same room with my mom for more than an hour because they fight constantly too. Now I feel stuck. If I don't invite my mom, there's a good chance that she'll never speak to me again, and my grandmother will be heartbroken. If I do invite her, I'm worried I'll be spending the entire wedding anxious, waiting for something to go wrong, instead of just enjoying one of the biggest days of my life. Am I wrong for wanting to protect my peace and not inviting my mom? When you said she'll never speak to you again, do you mean your mom or your grandmother? If you were talking about your mom, then I would say who cares, because she only calls you a few times a year anyway, and that's just to vent about the things wrong in her life. So if that's the case, then yeah, who cares? Just don't invite her to your wedding. But if it's your grandma, then I guess I could understand that because you see your grandmother more as the mom figure in your life and you don't want to lose her. But at the same time, if you're just going to be a nervous wreck the whole time because of all the stuff your mom put you through in childhood and stuff, I would see it as a positive not inviting your mom. Like, weddings are already stressful enough as it is, like planning and all that stuff. Why add another layer of stress just by inviting a person who you know you can't be in the same room with or the same vicinity or whatever? It's just gonna be a bad idea. This is yours and your fiance's wedding. If you don't want to invite certain people, then you can do that. And unfortunately, your grandmother is just gonna have to suck it up. Not the asshole. Your grandmother is asking you to risk your wedding to preserve a relationship she can't even tolerate herself. That says everything. Your wedding isn't a place to gamble on whether your mom or her boyfriend decide to behave. Dude, I completely forgot about that. Your grandmother is just being a complete hypocrite. Am I the asshole for asking my boyfriend not to stick chopsticks upright in his rice? I'm Japanese, 40 female, and in my culture, sticking chopsticks upright in a bowl of rice is considered disrespectful because it's traditionally done at funerals or as an offering to the deceased. Today at home, my boyfriend, 36 male, who is non-Japanese, stuck his chopsticks vertically into his rice. I politely told him that it is considered disrespectful in my culture and asked if he would lay them across the bowl instead. He immediately said that it was silly and refused, saying they'd fall off. I told him they wouldn't, but then he said he wasn't eating Japanese food, so it didn't matter. I explained that it isn't about the food, it's about how the chopsticks are placed. He responded that we are not in Japan and that he wasn't changing what he was doing just because he thought it was silly. I calmly said that I was only asking him for a small favor out of respect of my culture. He then sharply replied, "Fine, I'll just use forks from now on." So I took the chopsticks away and handed him a fork. What upset me is how immediately he dismissed my request as silly instead of making such a small accommodation. I got quite angry and said, "You're just like all the other white men who loved anime and collect figures, but don't actually care about Japanese culture." He was shocked by that and later told me I was petty, cynical, and intentionally trying to hurt his feelings. I gave an example of whenever I have dinner with him and his family, they say grace before eating. I'm not religious and I didn't grow up doing that, but I do it anyways because it's meaningful to them. He responded that religion and culture aren't the same thing. He also told me that during couples counseling, our counselor said that we shouldn't have expectations of each other. I told him that that's not why I was upset. I'm not angry because he didn't meet an expectation I had. I'm upset of how he immediately dismissed my request as silly and refused to make such a small gesture out of respect of my culture. So Redditors, am I the asshole for asking him not to put chopsticks upright on rice since we are not living in Japan? Oh man, he sounds like somebody who will never admit that they're wrong. Whatever the situation is, whatever it is, they'll find any excuse to not admit that they're wrong in the situation. I feel like you caught him by giving a really good example of like, hey, well, your family says grace before dinner, and I just do it because I'm just trying to be nice. I'm not going to say like, hey, y'all's little pre-food ritual is stupid, but you're nice and you just do it out of respect. The fact that he put the chopsticks upright in the rice, and sure, innocent mistake, whatever, I feel like we've all kind of just stabbed our chopsticks into our rice. But after the fact, after you told him like, hey, this is, in my culture, is a very, it's a thing we just don't do because it means something else and it's very disrespectful. After he learns that, he decides to double down and say, well, we're not in Japan, we're not eating Japanese food, so who cares? It's like, that's not the point. It's upsetting your girlfriend, first of all. Whether or not you think it's silly, it's still affecting her emotionally. And the fact that you can't just do that one thing and just not stab your chopsticks into your rice and you would rather just blow up and be like, well, I'm just gonna use a fork from now on. It's like, fuck you, dude. Who's being the silly one now? Why are you with someone who is disrespecting you and your culture? I'm not Japanese and I'm not dating a Japanese either, but since I found out about the chopsticks and what it means when you stick them into rice, I'd never do that. How dares he dismiss it just like that? Yeah, and that's something I've always learned about too. I think it was, my wife actually told me that, I believe. And ever since I learned about it too, I never stabbed my chopsticks into my rice. Oh well. Well, I'm not gonna jump in. I'm not gonna say like, well, just break up with the guy, whatever, because I feel like these things can be fixed, right? I'm not gonna just be like, oh, we'll leave the guy because he's stabbing chopsticks into the rice, whatever, because that's stupid. But if this is just one instance of many other things that are also wrong in the relationship, then I think you gotta, take a step back and evaluate the relationship and, actually think to yourself, is this what you really want? Well, that's going to go ahead and do it for this episode of Reddit, Am I the Asshole? If you guys enjoyed the stories, leave a like, leave a comment. Also, if you agree or disagree with any of my takes, go ahead and let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments down below. And I'll see y'all in the next video. Later.